Good evening and welcome to Guardian Games, here for Modern Mondays. I'm Travis Cooper from Portland Paper, and I'm hanging out with...
Vinny Balestrieri.
And yeah, we're going to be watching 4 rounds of Modern this evening. Looks like we have an interesting one for round number 1. We have Peter Murbach on Jeskai Pyromancer's Ascension and Urchin Colley on Sultai Reclamation.
I think that if Jeskai Ascension gets under Reclamation, it's probably great, but I think if Reclamation resolves, I think that this match is really, really, really hard to win.
Yeah, this is sort of like taking me back to days of modern past with Pyromancer's Ascension and Storm, and
Yeah.
like, it's a card that I think we've been seeing a little bit as a main deck card for the Arclight decks, but I haven't seen a just straight up Ascension deck in quite a while. It seems like usually the game plan is just to get an active Ascension and then start bolting your opponent, maybe looping those.
Yeah, just getting as much value as you can out of it, right?
Usually there's Noxious Revival, Remand, Bolt shenanigans going on.
Do you think that Peter is playing Thought Scour, which is a card that I think is always interesting in Ascension lists?
Oh, 100%. Thought Scour is there. Faithless Looting is also there. Urchin's probably playing 4 of Remands, which if you have a Ascension going on, you're kind of fine with getting your spells remanded.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's true. Is this an Ascension?
It does. No, not quite. Just the Serum
Mm.
Vision.
Well, 2 Serum Visions in the yard is a pretty good start.
Peter may be seeing that creature land on Urchin's side, a Creeping Tar Pit, and not being afraid to fetch Shock down to 14.
Yeah, maybe thinking that they're playing a slower, like a Grixis Control style deck.
All right, Urchin just playing a fetch land and passing the turn back, and Peter opting on instep.
I like the confidence in like not even double checking the scry. He was like, I know what this is. I'll just take it. Oh, here we go.
I feel like this might eat a remand.
Or maybe my favorite spell in all of Magic, a spell snare.
Yeah. Oh, it does resolve though. I think the stock and spell snare is pretty high right now. There's a lot of people trying to do things on 2.
So good.
You got your thing in the ice. Even Manamorphose is how you start off some really cheaty turns with Phoenix decks, and just being able to slow that deck down a little bit while you establish your game is important. And yeah, spell snare interacts with almost every deck.
I think spell snaring on 1 mana my opponent's turn 2 play is one of the best feelings I've ever had in Magic.
Yeah.
And having my Ravager spell snared is one of the worst feelings I've ever had in Magic.
All right, we get a Growth Spiral for Urchin.
Ooh.
And ramping up to that magic number of 4, which is...
Yep, going for the Reclamation.
Yep.
I recently lost to Reclamation, and I didn't realize how good the Search for Azcanta is in this deck. And the ability to loop Nexus of Fate when you have like 2 or 3 Reclamations, because you can dig like 15 cards deep every time or something crazy. Yeah, I was like, well, I did not really anticipate that.
Yeah, once it gets going, it's really hard to stop,
Yeah.
but also it is just very, very slow at actually winning a game.
Well, I think Magic is a game where sometimes you don't have to win. You just have to not lose.
That is actually not the case. The rules are you do have to win. I've had several friends pick up this Reclamation deck, and pretty much every event that they've gone to had multiple draws.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We saw a shock here when I also see a basic in hand. I wonder, maybe setting up for a tar pit next turn.
Get an opt. And
Is there a double black
Ascension.
spell at instance speed?
There are, it's not an established 75, so who knows
Yeah.
what are in the decks, but there are a couple Wrath effects on 5 that are instants, or at least one of those.
Well, here we
and
go. Maybe this is why.
Okay,
What is the blue-black counter-target non-creature spell? Counter-squall?
correct.
Yeah,
And
so
we
that
get,
would be a good reason to shock in the Watery Grave.
get an Assassin's Trophy there. Yeah, Reclamation lists are always interesting to see because there's a lot of one-ofs hanging out when you
Oh,
have the
yeah.
mystical teachings to go grab whatever silver bullet instant or flash spell you have.
So I mean, Peter could really go off here, right? Like Ascension into opt into whatever else he wants to do, opt or Serum Visions to start putting counters on his Ascension.
All right, Peter going down to 12.
Just
No,
neither
no
player.
fear.
Yeah, no respect for their life totals. Shock every time. That's lining up 3 blue sources for Cryptic Command, maybe. Probably unlikely in the Ascension deck. Does it play any counter spells, do you think?
I am unsure. I would imagine you probably have some remands just so you could loop your own spells with Ascension hanging out.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good trick.
Hey, Peter firing off a lightning bolt on Urchin's instep. And we did not see Urchin generate a bunch of mana before Reclamation untaps.
No. Both players being very good blue mages and like respecting the fact that really only the last life point matters, right? I think that they both recognize that they're in a safe zone as long as they're above maybe 4. They're not dying to bolts.
I would say that's probably true for Peter. Urchin might have a bit more of an issue with that. Just I think having remands and cryptic commands is almost your only counters. There might be one of negate or counter squall as well.
And there's one of those remands going for the flashback bolt, which is pretty good.
That's almost as good as spell snaring something.
Yeah, it is. It's true.
I used to play a lot of decks that were heavy on remands, and when the card is good, it feels great. But in general, right now, I don't think remand is the strongest card in Modern.
No, but a card that used to be a cornerstone, I feel like, to the format.
All right, Peter coming in for 2 there. He's going to eat a Fatal Push.
I have a working theory on that new remand art. When compared to the new Disdainful Stroke, I think he's ripping the scroll from Remand in half. I'm pretty sure. This is like tinfoil hat Vinny right now, but like I'm pretty sure that's what's going on.
I remember getting very confused when people started playing the new art for Disdainful Stroke.
It looked like a remand, right?
It looked like a remand to me. All right, Snapcaster.
Yeah, I think
push.
Urchin feeling that pressure of the life total as we were talking about. Look at that. He's cutting the remand scroll right in half.
What language do we have on there?
Oh, I don't know. Ravnikin. The ability to come in with Creeping Tar Pit and get to untap all your lands has to feel pretty good.
Generally, doing anything and untapping your lands feels really good.
That's true. That's true.
Like why Prophet of Krufix is banned in EDH.
Yeah. It's a lot of red mana. No fear. No fear.
Right, Path to Exile on the Creeping Tar Pit.
And you get to untap your land from Path?
What a deal.
Oh, it doesn't feel good.
So Peter might be on the game plan of just draw up to 7, hopefully get enough burn spells, and be able to fire those off at awkward points for Urchin.
Yeah.
And another Tar Pit deployed.
I mean, sometimes all your deck has to do is bolt, snap, bolt to win the game, right? If that's the game plan, just keep doing that.
Have not seen a Cryptic Command yet. Right now feels like a great time for one.
There it is.
I bet the modes are going to be counter and draw.
Ooh.
And Peter
Fantastic
remanding
play.
his own Ascension.
So good. With a land in hand to replay it? Oh, so good.
I do love how remand, when you're in blue mirrors, just a lot of varied play to that card, and remanding your own spell is, such a good feeling when your opponent doesn't have an additional counter. You get to keep the spell, be up a card. Used to happen a lot back in the Splinter Twin days.
Yes, definitely. And even like just like fizzling both modes of Cryptic Command, right? Like that feels amazing. All right, well, we have an Ascension on board finally.
Is it going to stick?
I know, yeah. It sticks till next turn. Hopefully the 2 cards that Peter is holding are great, and we can see some goofy stuff. I think he's tapped out. I mean, what? Oh, I think Urchin's holding Snapcaster.
And Urchin coming in for 3, taking Peter down to 8. And untapping some lands. We're hanging out on instep for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to get an Assassin's Trophy on that Pyromancer's Ascension. So Urchin has a 2-turn clock right now if Peter is not able to manage the Tar Pit or the Snapcaster. But also Urchin has 1 card left in hand. But all it takes is some Mystical Teachings.
That's true. Yeah, well, Mystical Teachings that says go get any card I want.
Times 2.
Ooh. I think Peter also has a Helix, it looks like, so he can buy himself a couple more turns here.
Looks like Peter does only have 1 white source. So if the Helix gets remanded, Peter won't be able to recast that.
Yeah, that's true, but I think now is probably the time you go for the Tar Pit with the Helix.
Oh, definitely. It's not getting better.
I think Urchin is only holding a Nexus of Fate, which isn't a terrible play.
I'm into taking an extra turn. Feels pretty good.
Yeah. Not even trying to bluff with the Snapcaster.
Well, Tar Pit can't be blocked, and you might not want Snapcaster to get killed with a flash-in Snapcaster, because especially with Thing in the Ice hanging out, the bounce is almost favorable to Urchin.
Going for the Nexus, it looks like.
Okay, it's probably going to prompt a response from Peter. Lightning Helixing the Tar Pit seems like the thing to do at this point.
Yeah. With no cards in Urchin's hand, that seems like the right time to do it. Oh. He still has time to respond here. I think he's realizing he should fire off this Helix.
So Urchin shuffling the Nexus of Fate back into the library, which is part of the rules text of the card.
There we go.
Alright, Helix goes after the Tar Pit, Peter bounces back up to 8, and Urchin gets an extra turn.
A game of who can stabilize. I think that right now, if I had to pick, I'm going to favor Peter with Thing in the Ice. Even bouncing the Snapcaster is very good. Oh, I guess there's a Fatal Push, so if he bounces Snapcaster, that doesn't really do it.
Yeah, it gets awkward.
Yeah, that's so awkward. Oh, or we can just kill it outright.
A cast down for Urchin there. It's interesting which Doomblade-esque effects you choose for your
that's true.
deck that splashes black, where you have the colorless and 1 black cost.
So I think... Well, sir, neither player has any sort of extra draw engine, right? So it's really just a question of, like, can Peter answer the Snapcaster in a meaningful way? And now we know that Urchin has no cards in hand. Like, Peter's free to do whatever he wants. like kill the Snapcaster, Peter. Oh, a pass. It's coming in for those 2-1 beats.
You know what we have going on right now as well? Some pretty good basic land.
I was gonna comment. Yeah, those are pretty great. Are those are invasion islands on Urchin's side?
It does appear to be that. We got some foil old border invasion islands. And a Snapcaster targeting Lightning Helix, and Lightning Helix is going to...
Ooh, and so Peter's holding a remand, which is pretty great, because if Urchin kept up a Cryptic, she couldn't use it.
Oh, and Peter just went with the Helix to Urchin, not to Snapcaster.
Oh, look at this little race we put
Fairly
ourselves
aggressive line,
in.
but
Yeah.
Peter is a deck that does have burn spells.
Yeah, Peter is the Bolt deck, right? So like he should be able to find a way to get there, hopefully before Urchin finds something super degenerate to do with Wilderness Reclamation.
Yeah, there are many live draws in the Reclamation deck. Blue Sun
Yeah,
Zenith,
Blue
our
Sun Zenith
mystical
ends the
teaching.
game,
Yep.
basically, right? Yeah.
But that is a drawback to having a deck with a bunch of one-of instants that are tutor targets, is sometimes you just draw those cards.
It's interesting for Urchin not to attack against the Bolt deck. I feel like you maybe are supposed to keep pressuring. I guess 2 and a Bolt is dead, though. All right, I'm on board, Urchin.
You argued yourself into
I convinced myself of your correct line of play. Top?
Looks like I see perhaps another thing in the ice in Peter's hand. Lightning Bolt? No, just got a Plains and a Lightning Bolt, and don't know what the other card is.
Now,
Peter's passing back.
Shockland Fest over here. Everyone's suddenly aware of their life totals. No one wants to shock in any lands now.
All right.
I love this play.
Snapcaster getting feisty. I feel we might have a Wrath effect that is going to follow up this attack.
Yeah, and I think that this really this is if it's a bluff, it's a very good bluff because Urchin changing her line of play, signifying that the draw must have been very, very good.
I think we have a Pulse of Marasa and a Remand hanging out in Urchin's hand, so perhaps wanting that Snapcaster to go to the graveyard.
Yeah, Pulse of Marasa gains 8, is that right?
6. And you can return a land or a creature from your graveyard to your hand.
Like a Snapcaster, huh?
Much better in this situation than a land.
No plays.
Looks like chat is really into spell snaring and cathartic.
Oh, is he a
Radiant.
double bolt?
We got one Lightning Bolt in response to Pulse of Marasa.
Snapcaster Bolt, Snapcaster Helix. Oh no, the Helix is gone.
If it is Snapcaster Bolt, it might be awkward for Peter with the.
No, I
Remand
think
left
Peter's
in.
trying to bait out a counter spell. Oh.
Second Lightning Bolt.
Do we know what Urchin's last card is or no?
A Remand.
Oh, a remand. So remand your own Pulse, recast Pulse.
I think Peter also has leftovers of Remand as well.
Oh.
And that's going to do it.
Yeah. Yikes. Well, you can't always play around the double bolt. Right? I mean...
There are ways of sequencing when you're playing your cards to do that. Don't think there's necessarily any incorrect play on either player, except
No.
either. You could have waited another turn to draw an additional card to maybe get some more interaction before casting Pulse, especially when you can float a bunch of mana off at your end step before the Wilderness Reclamation trigger.
Yeah, casting it in your end steps, you have all that extra mana to do whatever you need to with it.
Like a lot of times it's good to assess in a situation like my opponent only has very few cards in hand. What are the combination of cards that they could have that I would lose to with the interaction I have,
absolutely.
and then how to best play those lines.
Definitely. Sideboards. I would expect Peter to bring in something to blow up an enchantment. Probably Wear Tear. Maybe Disenchant? That feels a little too cute.
I feel like there's definitely wear tears in Peter's sideboard, and it's worth bringing it in because you really do need those Wilderness Reclamations to get ahead in the Sultai deck.
True. Yeah.
And also, I imagine there are some number of Dispel type effects, which Dispel is really strong against a pretty cryptic heavy deck.
Is Urchin, do you think Urchin's playing any non-creature combat ways to win besides Blue Sun Zenith? Or do you think primarily leaning on Blue Sun Zenith to win without combat?
I think most of your games are going to be won with attacking with Creeping Tar Pit and just getting into the late game with the Snapcaster's Tar Pit. And Blue Sun Zenith is sort of the backup plan of have a couple Reclamations out, generate a ton of mana, Zenith someone out of the game. But generally it's just one of those control decks that is utilizing almost like Tron, how you're cheating on mana, kind of. But you're relying more on your interaction of like cryptics and instants than planeswalkers. Sometimes I've seen people running Torrential Gearhulk online specifically because the deck takes forever to win games with, and online when you have to deal with the chess clock, you need to win a little bit more efficiently, which is, I think, the major downside to this deck, having known 3 or 4 people locally that have picked it up, that you just go to time so often.
I did get Gearhulked last week in that match I lost. It seems good. It's certainly more of a clock than a Snapcaster.
Yes, it is. In fact, let's see, 6 turns faster of the clock than a Snapcaster.
And I think that we saw, it was interesting that Peter he used his Ascensions almost as a way to get through the counterspell so that he could be on that kind of snap, bolt, snap, or bolt, snap, bolt plan.
Yeah, Peter is playing probably 4 Snapcasters.
Oh,
You have 4 Helixes and 4 Lightning Bolts, so that is definitely a win condition. It does feel like a challenge in the Reclamation decks to manage what lands you fetch for and your life total, because it's just a very color-intensive deck in terms of the mana pips you're using for your spells. You need double black, you need triple blue. You really want to have Snapcaster cryptic mana. Reclamation plays a couple Snapcasters, and you want to be able to cryptic and remand and maybe cryptic again. So.
Yeah, for a deck that doubles its mana in the end step, the colors do get very, very difficult. Looks like a no-lander for Urchin.
There's a lot of really good cards, though. And it's like both players going down to 6.
Yeah. Friendly game of Magic here. You mull, your opponent mulls. That's how we play it at Guardian Games. I think that if you are playing Reclamation and you are mulliganing, do you ever, if you're on 6 or less, do you ever mulligan a hand away where you can cast a Growth Spiral turn 2?
Probably not.
I think probably not as well.
I think that's maybe the hidden best card in the deck.
Oh yeah.
Is being able to cast Cryptic a turn early, and the instant speed explore. I'm kind of curious why we haven't seen a Rug Scapeshift list start popping up. It seems like there's got to be something there with Growth Spiral.
Yeah. I feel like that deck lacks a little bit of the like critical mass that Growth Spiral wants. But just putting an extra land into play sometimes they don't have an extra land, right? Because they're on a bunch of like Sakura Tribe Elders or Farseeks or whatever else.
Yeah, I think Growth Spiral is the what you might cut for one of those other 2 mana spells. I'm unsure. I mean, obviously it's not putting up any results right now, but it seems like Rug Scapeshift used to be one of the premier modern decks. Growth Spiral seems like an upgrade. But. All right.
Ooh, there we go.
Some action started. Get a Thought Scour on the end step.
What if he just bordered into Phoenixes? What if it was just 2 Phoenixes? I would have lost my mind.
We do have an Ascension hanging out in Peter's hand. Do we have a Remand in Urchin's hand?
Urchin has a growth spiral, so I mean, I think if Peter goes for Ascension, she has to answer it, right? Oh, interesting. Yeah. Can you shock in and untap land off growth spiral?
You can. You can just play an extra
Oh,
land.
it's just play an extra land? No. I have 3 of those promos and I've never read the card.
So you're saying you're really good at Magic?
I'm really good at Magic. Super good at Magic.
Winning all the FNMs. All right, we get the Hallmark
there we
card.
go. Yeah.
One of them at least. Wilderness Reclamation cast by Urchin, and she got to untap all the manas.
So if I'm Peter, I think I'm just trying to race as fast as I can, but Thing in the Ice is so bad in the face of so much open mana.
She is Surgical in Urchin's hand as well. Snapcaster, Surgical, Abrupt Decay. Abrupt Decay, very good against Pyromancer's Ascension.
Very good against Thing in the Ice.
I'm waxing nostalgic here. I remember when that used to be modern. You had your Jund with Abrupt Decay, you had your Storm with Pyromancer's Ascension.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like chat's interested in what we think of some of the spoilers, and yeah, we'll definitely get to those probably between matches. A fair amount to say about it.
Well, I don't think Peter is intentionally playing around Surgical Extraction, but he's done a really good job of diversifying the cantrips he's putting into the graveyard. Oh, there goes the decay. So sad.
Perhaps Peter played out the Thing in the Ice because he would rather have that be a target of removal than
oh yeah,
Ascension.
absolutely. More like Thing in the Graveyard, am I right?
Oh.
I think Peter maybe also has a Dispel in hand, which makes a lot of sense for why he'd run out the Thing in the Ice into an Abrupt Decay, maybe.
Probably thinking more along the lines of Assassin's Trophy.
Yeah.
And Urchin is interested in drawing 2 cards.
Drawing 2 cards seems pretty good.
Blue Sun Zenith and a Creeping Tar Pit as a pickup, so draw more than 2 cards.
So good. Blue Sun is 3 blue X, right?
Correct.
I've only ever conceded when my opponent casts Blue Sun Zenith, so I don't really know what it does.
All the Zenith spells are going to get, if they're cast and they resolve, they go
shuffle back in, right?
into your library.
Yeah. Do you know anything about Peleus, the Vidalcan Ordinator?
The flavor and the universe of, or should we say multiverse of Magic is something that I'm pretty ignorant about.
I don't know anything about that Vidalcan Ordinator. But we have a Pyromancer's Ascension in play. Peter can start getting crazy.
Well, we get a Snapcaster Virgin. Snapcaster Decay seems pretty strong. Do we get a Spell Snare? Do we get your favorite?
Spell Snare? Huh? Probably looking for the remand here. Ooh.
And perhaps Peter boarded in Surgical as well.
Yeah, it looks like he has another Ascension in hand, maybe. So, I mean, it's unfortunate to have to put a bunch of counters on one of your Ascensions to have it blown up to recast a second one and have to reset up, but that's not the end of the world.
Not only does Peter have Beta lands, Peter has my favorite art for Beta Mountain.
That's pretty good. I like, that's not my favorite art. I like the Blue Mountain.
Just like the darkness and like green and red contrasting colors.
What are we digging for here?
There goes the Ascension.
I think we have a blue-red floating here in the end step on Peter's side.
Yeah, we might have been digging for something to trigger the Ascension and then get on the Manamorphose train.
Ooh.
And we
Jin
get a
pulling no
surgical
punches,
on
not even paying the life this time. Game
Pyromancer's
1,
Ascension.
shotgun every land. Game 2, pay mana for our surgical extractions. Maybe Peter has a curveball, he's only playing 3? What are the odds of that? There we go. There's a question around if maybe waiting for opt to resolve is better there, which I think that is the case.
The reason you might not do that is if you think your opponent boarded in surgical, that gives them another chance to draw a surgical, which seems fair enough.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Urchin clearly signaling we have Cryptic in hand. 4 mana set to the side. Watch out. Oh no, it's for the tar pit.
Yeah, everyone's like, this is the win condition for Reclamation as Blue Sun Zenith, but this is actually what the win condition is.
Yeah, this is usually how the deck wins.
Good Serum Vision for Peter. Looking for that Ascension, isn't going to find it.
You're looking in the wrong zone, Peter. But we saw last game, though, right? It's just that the Bolt Snap Bolt plan can get there.
Yeah, Urchin is sitting at a pretty high life total right now.
A high life total with only 2 cards, though? Oh, but one of them is Blue Sun Zenith. Oh.
How many cards did you say that was?
I think 2. 2. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, it's... I don't even know. 5?
And picked up another land for Urchin on that draw step. We've seen this deck on coverage a couple times. I don't think we've ever seen a big Zenith turn. I am kind of voting for that with my heart right now. Nothing against Peter. I want to see someone draw a lot of cards.
Yeah, it's interesting when to fire off the Zenith. With both players having so much blue mana.
I think you might just wait until you have a counter spell.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
All right, Peter continuing to draw lands.
Yeah, I think the sequence has to be like Peter flashes in Snapcaster, Urchin responds, Peter fires off Helix, then they Blue Sun Zenith.
Ooh.
Oh. Well, that works.
Interesting. Peter negates the second Wilderness.
Yeah. Urchin with a good read not to fire off that Blue Sun Zenith into the unknown counterspell.
I'm not sure I like negating that. Your Urchin's going to be able to make a bunch of mana anyways.
Yeah.
I'd rather save the negate for...
Oh, she's going to be able to make... Well, that's a lot less mana now. We're at the end of the second main phase, which is the correct time to blow up your opponent's Wilderness Reclamation.
And Peter is going to have the Snapcaster negate for the Blue Suns, so it's probably going to be about Urchin navigating a situation where she kind of incentivizes Peter to go Snapcaster something else.
Right. Well, with the Helix in hand, though, he can just... I mean, the Helix is definitely going at that Snapcaster.
And didn't elect to use it at Urchin's instep, and took the damage.
Maybe looking for a chance to try and overload Urchin at some point to like play an Ascension, force a Cryptic response, and then get to cast Helix.
Do you see a Cryptic?
Or I guess, sorry, there isn't any Ascensions left, but a Thing in the Ice or something else. I wish there was a counter to see how much damage total Snapcasters have dealt in games, which is a lot.
All right, get a fetch from Peter, down to 7. Yeah, Chad is like Invasion Island question mark. I think that's a definite yay. I love any of the old border basic lands. They're especially nice when they're foil, and I'm usually not a foil fan, but when you just foil the border,
That's true. That's true. As you pointed out, though, at the start of this match, Reclamation takes a long time to win, and the clock is slowly ticking down here. This match has been 12 minutes long, or this game has been 12 minutes long.
I think we might get a cryptic for a bounce straw.
Oh, so good.
Urchin.
So good.
And Peter electing to remand cryptic, so we got a little stack going on here. Okay, Peter's drawing off remands.
Helix still targeting Snapcaster Mage.
And this is maybe the situation where Urchin's baiting out the Snapcaster negate, and then it's gonna probably untap and draw some cards.
Oh yeah. Urchin saw that line from like a mile away. They were like, yep, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Let me introduce you to my friend Blue Sun Zenith.
Did Peter pick up another counterspell? Seems like Peter is digging for a counterspell.
Yeah.
And found a remand.
Not
So
bad.
probably Peter realizing that they were in a weak spot there if Urchin had a Blue Suns, and wanting to cycle through those instants before Urchin got to have a bunch of mana.
Yeah, absolutely. We can play the Mystical Teachings game. Urchin just drew one. What do you go and get with your Mystical Teachings? Are you just getting like a Fatal Push?
Maybe a Dispel.
Yeah, oh yeah. Dispel is definitely the right call.
5 mana to go get your 1 mana counterspell. We have a Pulse of Murasa targeting Snapcaster Mage for Urchin.
That seems good. And it's so hard to know if you go for if you're trying to resolve Blue Sun Zenith or if you're trying to resolve Mystical Teachings now. Like, is quality or quantity the route to take?
I think you're saving Blue Suns for the end.
So is it better though just to use the Blue Sun now to hope that your Mystical Teachings can resolve on your turn? Or the Urchin's making the plays for us here. So
yeah, I mean we're at the end of Peter's, or in response to a Serum Vision, it seems like. Oh, and Peter going ahead and using the remand on the front side.
Maybe Urchin is just hoping to set up Peter to just like mill him out with one really good Blue Sun Zenith, because Peter's drawing a lot of cards.
I'm interested in what Peter was afraid of Urchin getting with that Mystical Teachings.
Well, maybe because we're in Peter's end step, he doesn't want the tutor to resolve to untap with 8 mana is very, very good. I think that's a Field of Ruin.
Yes.
9 mana. Urchin does have that Creeping Tar Pit. That could be coming in for some damage.
And just a pass of the turn for Urchin.
Snapcaster Pulse here.
Oh, that's good. All the loops.
Ooh.
And get a thing in the ice. Resolves.
I mean,
I
don't really think that Urchin cares much, right? They get their Snapcaster back and they can do anything else they want. That is pretty good.
And we're teachings in response to the Manamorphosis still in the stack. What do you think it's going to be? I'm going Dispel.
I think it has to be Dispel.
Or some similar effect.
But even well, yeah, Urchin's at 19. They can take a hit from a thing in the ice, right?
Probably take
2
hits.
I mean, I think I like the greedy play of Blue Sun Zenith Peter. Hope that you draw it off the top again, and Blue Sun again. Hey.
2 things.
Thing 1 and thing 2, actually.
We saw a Logic Knot as perhaps the pickup for the draw step there.
That is maybe a turn too late.
Allows you to cast your Blue Suns for a couple more mana instead of having
True.
to hold up Cryptic. See a Lightning Bolt and another Snapcaster hanging out in Peter's hand.
Blue mirrors. Defined by Drago, effects in your end steps, play my Snapcasters.
Wow, leaving up 1 mana, so that's definitely signaling a Dispel. I'm not sure if Urchin has it though.
I love it. I love it. Oh, it's there.
We did have it. Five cards.
Oof.
She just drew 5 cards. That's
She
gotta
drew
feel
5
good.
cards, one of which was a growth spiral, 3 of which were lands.
Yeah, well, 5 cards is still pretty cool.
Peter, being aware of the clock, taking some shortcuts here, knowing he's going to fetch an island anyways. Well, so thing 1 and thing 2 is 14 damage, plus the Snapcaster is 16, plus a Lightning Bolt is 19.
Snapcaster is going back to hand. Probably. When the things flip.
Oh, that's true.
It's
that's
called
true.
a combo.
Is it a combo?
I think it's
Synergy?
A combo. You want your Snapcaster in the hand. You don't want to take it out in the battlefield. Oh, we're getting closer.
Down to 18. Blood being drawn.
I've definitely been on Urchin's side of the table where you resolve a spell and you draw a whole bunch of cards, and your opponent just has this look on their face of total dejection, and then all you did was draw lands and a bunch of maybe do nothing counter spells, and we still lose. And
I call that the Sphinx's Revelation.
We're digging.
Yep, start cycling.
Cryptic.
Not bad.
Could be worse.
There's 2 more Reclamations in there somewhere. I think unless Urchin has a Reclamation, I think you stop because you... Oh! Never mind.
I'm into taking another turn.
Never stop. Never stop. All right, it's Reclamation off the top. Game takes a quick 180.
Where's that search for Ascanta?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Snapcaster.
Great.
It is really funny playing with Thing in the Ice when both players have Snapcaster.
Yeah.
I've definitely been playing Jeskai Control against the Arclight decks where you're able to path in response to flip trigger, snap in your flash and Snapcaster target path, and then bounce it back. Feels good.
Maybe Urchin recognizing the game needs to end, and that no instant speed flip. Oh.
We get a bolt is on the stack, and a thing in the ice trigger is also on the stack.
That was Peter's last card in hand. I think you just bounce thing in the ice. Oh, logic, not the bolt, and bounce the thing in the ice. Oh. Oh, and get back your snap?
Seems all right. Both players are going to have Snapcaster in hand now.
Oh, that sounds not.
So Peter waited into the end step so they wouldn't take another hit from the tar pit the following turn.
That's a very good play.
Or the turn after that. Perhaps if this other thing is going to be able to flip. Players confirming life totals. We've got it right up here.
Yeah. So if Peter drew a bolt, that's pretty good, right?
Peter just has to not lose this game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Ooh.
Get a remand.
Looking for the last spell to deal 14.
Perhaps bounce your Snapcaster again. The Snapcaster's doing extra duty here.
It's so much work. So much work.
And Peter just comes in for that 7 there. And Urchin untapping with a lot of ability to produce mana here. We've got 1, 2, 3,
Tar Pit
4,
definitely
5,
has to come back into play.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 untapped sources.
Well, I'm eating my words here when I said that all you have to do is not lose. I feel like Urchin is very well positioned except for the time on the clock.
And Peter perhaps leaving that thing hanging out with a counter on it and not getting too aggressive to stall the game another turn or so.
Well, maybe asking to bait out a counter spell as well to flip the thing in the ice so we can deal more. It'd be deal lethal.
Peter responds with the Thought Scour, targeting Urchin. Interesting line. And we're on turn 0 right now.
Again, getting the value out of the Snapcaster here.
Peter stacking his triggers, the thing flipping.
Is there a Cryptic still in Urchin's graveyard? Or no?
We're going to find out. Looks like there is.
You just Cryptic tap again? Right? I think that seems like a totally reasonable play.
Feels
yeah,
like
Cryptic tap, bring the snap back, you get another Cryptic next turn.
Thinking about what is the most efficient use of Cryptic Command.
Ooh.
It's a Lightning Helix pickup. So we have land, Lightning Helix, Snapcaster in Peter's hand. And we have a Cryptic hanging out on the stack.
Yeah. Wow, that's really good play on Urchin's part, playing around the Snapcaster. I think we're thinking deep in Peter's end step here.
Yeah, once we have time in round called, players tend to slow down a little bit, make sure you don't make any mistakes, kind of get a relax. Can't quite just slow play, but you definitely have time to make some decisions. And it looks like Urchin might be going for the win here.
Is the draw another Snapcaster? Right?
Yeah.
Snapcaster, Tar Pit is 7. Oh, yeah, sea salt vinegar is definitely the best chip flavor. There's no argument.
I had some really good spicy seaweed flavored ones from this Japanese deli that I'm not even sure what they're called. Everything was in Japanese.
All right, that sounds good. I started to roll my eyes, and then you said the words Japanese deli, and I was like, okay, that sounds like it was probably pretty good. Peter has a helix in hand. This is definitely the time to fire it off. Target surgical?
So now trying to figure out exactly how players are stacking stuff, they're verbally communicating. So we're having a Snapcaster is coming to play. The ETB trigger goes on the stack.
And did target surgical.
And Peter is now responding to the ETB trigger.
Oh.
Peter's going to helix, snap, helix, and gain 6. Definitely insulates Peter from most wins at
How many cards in those in that library, though? What if it's Blue Sun Zenith off the top? What if it is? Look at how much mana Urchin has. It could happen.
Well, there's a growth spiral.
Like, if Urchin draws... She has Mystical Teachings to go get Blue Sun Zenith. If she draws the Wilderness Reclamation, that's so small. It could be the camera, but like... Oh, there, she just asked. Cards in library.
13 cards is the answer.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 mana, though.
Oh,
so we have to find a Reclamation. Oh, please let this game win this way.
I do feel like if that's how the game ends, we are going to be getting a very
I think I fire off the growth spiral and try and find it.
Well, you could fire off Teachings to get Cryptic. Our Snapcaster, if there's any left in the deck, tap down the team, flashback Teachings to get Blue Suns. Many interesting lines here.
Yeah, this game got really interesting when we knew there was only 13 cards in the library.
Oh, well, we just have it.
We just have it. All right, it's a blue mirror.
I feel like you always have to dig, pick up your graveyard whenever an opponent casts a counter spell to just like.
Oh yeah, maybe I got a Snapcaster.
Like,
maybe I got a Snap.
I don't know.
So you Teachings for and Blue Sun for 2, and then Teachings and Blue Sun. No, that's not enough. Find Reclamation. Find Blue Sun Zenith.
Might be a Blue Suns yourself at this point to hopefully then find the Reclamation. And
yeah, then you definitely have enough in your end step.
So Urchin's going to be turn 3 and then 5. So we're going to, as long as Urchin is able to keep the team tapped down.
And Urchin picked up a Delta?
Doing another check there. Peter has only drawn 1 card, so we should still be at 12. Yeah, I do like the ruffled kettle chips.
Oh, yeah, those are pretty good. Those are pretty good.
It's kind of like the standby one for me.
Like if Teachings is resolving, I feel like Peter's got nothing. Like if I was Peter, I would not be messing around. I'd be like, no, you don't get the Teachings. But yeah, the ruffled kettle chips are pretty good.
It's like a solid. I want a chip. That's what I'm going to go for.
I gave my dog a barbecue chip today. I didn't know if she would like it, but it turns out.
Oh, this is awkward.
Oh.
Because those extra turns count as turns.
This deck. Those turns do count as extra turns.
Okay, we're on turn 3 now.
Is there another Invasion Island in the deck? There must be.
Maybe I don't see.
I guess you just shock even. Like who cares? Because you're
basic swamp.
Oh,
Didn't
sure.
see one out
Great.
there.
Well, you. So I think we
You
still need
blues-
one more mana
I think
if I
you blue
counted
suns
right.
yourself here, as long as you don't deck yourself, and then you take the next turn, and then you're sure hitting one of your or not sure, but highly likely.
Well, you blue sun yourself with enough for Reclamation, right? You need to leave up Reclamation, maybe.
Well, you get another turn. So.
Oh, you're saying now after Nexus, cast the blue suns.
Correct.
Gotcha. Also, fantastic sequencing on Urchin's part, leaving up the cryptic. That's a shuffling.
You could have the, just attack with 2 tar pits twice.
Oh,
if Peter doesn't have anything.
Peter has 12 life though, so you need to attack with tar pit 4 times.
There are 2 tar pits.
There's 2 tar pits?
There's 2 tar pits.
Get out of town! Oh wow, yeah, that seems pretty good.
Okay, we're on turn 4, so.
I like the mill plan more though. Yeah.
I feel like Peter was realizing this could happen at a certain
Wait,
point.
that's only 11?
Several turns ago, when Peter chose to Thought Scour and Mill Urchin.
Oh yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. He's gonna draw 15 points of burn. Shh. You're kidding me. You are kidding
Well,
me.
you get an untap as well.
Oh my gosh, no way. Oh my god, that's just... You never play around triple bolt. Wow. What an insane game. Oh, wow. That was an incredible game on both sides of the table.
I feel like you might have been able to figure out how many bolts are left in your opponent's deck, though.
Wow. And
but maybe that's
Urchin even realizing, like, I have a Dispel, I just needed one more land.
Maybe that's something that you not necessarily are thinking when you're like, I'm milling my opponent out, and you don't look at the graveyard and count the number of bolts and helixes.
No, I would definitely not have checked. Wow, what a crazy round 1. I don't know what we're gonna bring up for round 2, but it's gotta be crazier than that.
That was great job with the players giving us a full match of Magic here, going to turns. We got all 5 extra turns as well.
Yeah, and both players taking such amazing lines on both sides of the table. That was a great game.